is community spotlight time. And folks, there's nothing better when you see a community come together collectively for a purpose, and that is what we have today. And she wears many hats in Elbert County Partnership for Health. Is that what it is?
It's just Elbert.
Elbert.
Yes.
Yes, Partners for Health.
Yes.
There we go. And Alicia Poon is here. And Alicia, what a great thing that we have to talk about today, because it's a collective effort of so many to make it happen. And I'm just going to throw it to you, but we have many, many special guests today.
That's right. Elbert Partners for Health is a local coalition that's been working in our community for about 7 years now. And we have a couple different focus areas, but today what we're here to talk about is substance abuse prevention, particularly in youth. And it's been an area that we've been working on, like I said, since our beginning. And so we have, as a coalition, we have a lot of different people at the table representing a lot of different areas. And so that's who are here with me today, people we've been working with in the community to affect change among youth.
And this is to create drug-free community, and what an important task that is. Who all do we have? And let's go ahead and introduce everybody in the
Can
room.
I let them introduce
Yes,
themselves?
yes, that'd be
here we go.
great. That'd be great.
Good morning. I'm Talera Sims, and I am the founder and director of Mother to Mother Recovery Center, as well as the director of Life and Recovery.
Talera, you're awesome. I just want to tell you that. And we'll keep going around this way.
Good morning. I'm Sophie Walski. I'm the new project coordinator for Drug Free Elbert for the grant.
Yay! Awesome.
She's very new, just hired like this week.
I was
Yeah.
saying I didn't even know this, and that's so awesome. Wow. And continuing around.
Good morning. I'm Suzanne Sanders, and I'm with Advantage Behavioral Health Systems here in Elberton.
Good morning. My name is Donna Baker, and I'm the principal at Elbert County Middle School.
Good morning. I'm Sergeant Kamens with the Elberton Police Department.
Good morning, Robert Wheeler, School Superintendent, Elbert County Schools.
And Tammy Dalton, the Executive Director for Friends of Advantage.
Y'all, I don't know how Tammy gets to all the meetings she goes to. I mean, she's everywhere, everywhere. And I want to thank each and one of you right now for being here at this time, because not only is this a huge collective partnership with our community, but just the time that you take right now is so cool. And for you, the listeners, this is a really cool overview of things and things that you may not even be thinking about that affect our youth. But Alicia, tell us a little bit about the grant and just and we can find out the trends and kind of what we're trying to do you say fight? I mean, do you say fight or?
I guess you could say fight. Well,
combat. I don't.
that's
Another word for fight.
well, we are. Like I said, we've been working in this arena for about 7 years, and when we first started, we kind of hit at the same time that the vaping epidemic really just took off among youth. And you saw early in 2017 and 18, there were like kids dying in the hospitals from vaping poisoning and that kind of thing. And fortunately, I think those trends have kind of come down since then. But it made us aware, even locally, that this was a trend that was taking off among our youth. And that just leads to worse addictions later on in life. And so we wanted even then to try to do something to kind of address it and nip it in the bud. And we worked some in the schools for a time, but we haven't really done anything large scale. But we do know that nicotine is actually the most addictive drug, and 1 in 3 who end up trying it end up getting addicted.
Wow.
And these vapes actually contain like 3 times more nicotine than like a regular cigarette. And then when youth try it, adolescents, their brains are like wired for addiction.
Yes.
And so it makes it, and habit forming, and so it makes it even worse. And so it's just a bad combination. So we've been looking for a way to really do some prevention work on a large scale. And so the Drug Free Communities Grant is the way that we are hoping to do that. When we were getting ready to look into this grant, we did some research to see, what does it actually look like. And when we looked at vaping use for nicotine for the Georgia Health School Survey, which our students do every year, in 2023, the sixth graders, 94% had not vaped in the past 30 days, which means that 6% had. By the time they
That's
get
sixth grade.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And by the time you get to
Wow.
11th grade, that
Yeah.
number jumped to 83%, which means 17% have. And that's really not out. I mean, Georgia,
And that's
that's locally.
That's locally.
Yes.
That's right here from
Yep.
like our own students. Yeah.
And then you have Georgia's like statewide, it's 17 to 18%. So we're kind of in there with the state average. But we're not only going to focus on vaping nicotine. We're also looking at marijuana use, and that is kind of similar in sixth grade. You have about 98% that haven't tried it, but by the time you get to 11th grade, it was 84%.
Have or
That
haven't?
not
Okay,
have
good,
not
good.
done use.
Yes.
So
It's like, yeah.
you're right. That means
But
that's a
that-
lot of kids that aren't.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
encouraging. But then there's 16% that are. And then one of the biggest concerns I think is the change in perception of risk. Kids, I think with the legalization in so many states and areas, there's this misconception among a lot of people that marijuana is just not really that dangerous.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily get addicted. But I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so, like in sixth grade in 2023, 34% didn't see any risk for using marijuana. By 11th grade, it was 43%. So like half our kids don't see
Wow.
any risk.
Wow.
And when you compare that to 2013, just 10 years before, it was that average was it was 23% of students here didn't think it was risky, and now that is 38%. So you've seen a really big growth in the number of kids that just don't see it as a problem, and so that's kind
Wow.
of why we're interested in combating
That's right.
that epidemic.
And this grant, the total of the grant was 125,000. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
So, and I had, if it's okay, I may jump around, but to the schools, I mean, like as the schools see this, do you see it? I mean, do you see like what? And I know that questionnaires went out, so the answers were there. Was it shocking or like when you see those answers? And what do you see at the schools? So you're at the middle school, right? So
Yes, sir.
all right. It and of course Mr. Wheeler sees everything, but I was kind of shocked by the kids thinking it's not like it doesn't affect you. I mean, you know what I mean? And I would think it would that would not have been like that. I mean, and I'm just curious about the educators. Do you see this much or not?
So, in the past several years, we actually have seen more vaping than we have this year. So, it seems to be on the decline of vaping in school, which is exciting. However, do we know if that's the knowledge of, how that affects them, or is it because they've moved on to different things? Not really sure. We have not had, currently this year, as many vaping situations and THC situations in our schools than in previous years. So we'd like to say that's due to us getting out, educating the kids on how it affects them and how it can affect them in the long term. Because we have done some whole school seminar kind of things and some class educating.
Yes. And education is what this grant is all about. I mean, and making sure to educate. And to Sergeant Cavins, I think Sergeant, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And but this could be a gateway. I guess you would call it gateway, but an avenue to other things, and that's one of the dangers of somebody thinking, oh, I saw a vape at the store, or uncle, or somebody's giving them something, but the dangers are not just the vape itself, but that what can lead to. And what do y'all see from the police standpoint?
So it's often that when I find a vape pen or anything like that, it's often that I'll find either marijuana itself or the more serious version of that, which would be the wax or the THC oils that we find. That's a felony,
Okay.
and we do charge adults and teens for possessing that. So the problem that I see with it is you don't know what's in that. Okay.
Right.
fentanyl is a real thing, and I know we've all heard of it over the years, and they love, the people who make these illegal drugs, they like to sprinkle that in. And I've got kids that I went to high school with that OD'd on something they thought was safe, and ended up losing their life to it. So that's sort of where it starts, is with cigarettes, vape pens, that sort of thing at a young age when you're impressionable. You kind of want to get into trying other things because you're meeting people that are doing it too, right? You got a group of friends and everybody's like, well, I got some marijuana, we're all vaping, why don't we try some marijuana? And then now we're smoking marijuana, and that moves on to other things. So.
And then it could lead to just whatever is out there, and the fentanyl is so dangerous, and that's another thing that people don't think about as they get into a world where education is key to say, hey, you can actually just go get some beef jerky and just keep walking.
Yeah, beef jerky.
I'm more of a beef jerky and a Dr. Pepper guy myself, so that's my vices, if you will. And I know Advantage, and I didn't know if Suzanne with Advantage. So from your standpoint, you may actually know more about what happens after somebody starts on one thing and goes to another from your standpoint.
Well, absolutely. As we know, addiction is something that can start very early. And like you've mentioned, nicotine and cannabis or marijuana can be a gateway to trying other substances. And once we know that, there's an addiction to one substance, the likelihood for an addiction to another substance, or what we would call a cross addiction, is very high.
And that's, to me, education and this grant and just getting the word out to help detour folks from even getting to that point. And so, and Tulare, if you don't mind, how did you start? Did you start the what you do? I mean, did you start those programs?
Yes, sir.
And so, can you give me a little how you got into that and how you help those with addiction?
Well, Stan, my why stems from my own lived experience. I can definitely speak to, as a kid, my curiosities led me to stealing my uncle's cigarettes. And then from that, it turned into...
How old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
About 9.
Wow. Okay.
About 9 or 10.
Yeah.
When I stole my first cigarette out of my uncle's pack.
Wow.
And it went from that to marijuana, then from that to the alcohol, and then later in life, due to some other unforeseen traumatic experiences, it ended up into cocaine. And so from my own lived experiences, I know firsthand how it progresses. And then I'm also a child, a surviving child of a mom who struggled with addictions. So from my lived experiences, I knew that I had firsthand inside knowledge of what it takes and how hard it is. But I also know that there is another side to it. So I didn't want to just get well for myself. I knew that I had to be the one to give back. I knew that I had a inside piece to help people really overcome this thing, because for so many people, it takes them to see you overcome it, to give them the courage and the motivation to do so. So my husband and I both started men and women treatment facilities to address the issue. And I decided to come to Elberton because, when we came here 3 years ago, it was like bringing water to a desert.
Yeah.
And Mother to Mother was Elbert County's first women's treatment facility ever.
Wow.
And so I knew that still wasn't enough, because the work, it never ends. In 2023 alone, there was a reported 107,000 overdoses.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now that's what was reported.
Right.
But
what
we know those
about.
numbers are way
Yeah.
more than that. So we knew that there was a little more had to be done. So that's when we opened Life and Recovery, because while Mother to Mother can only address the women, Life and Recovery can address both men and women, young and old alike. So just here recently, we got a second edition. We got another house.
Yes.
So we will be able to take in even more women.
That is so awesome. I mean, that is just incredible to learn, like that ministry. I call it a ministry that you have, and so, and folks, if you have a heart for Talara and what she does, to reach out to her to find ways to connect and help too, and through that. And so, and I know with our new director coming in, I would expect that like she'll be kind of working with schools and so forth. Is that correct? So where will your offices be? Do we know yet? Or is it so new that we don't know?
Yeah, we're one step at a time. So.
Okay, one step. She just got hired, folks. She just got hired. I just wondered, like, and but because I didn't even know there was a hiring yet, so I probably saw it in an email, but just and that is awesome. But excited? Are you excited about this journey? Because it's kind of a new journey, but you've done 4-H, right?
I
So
have.
so
Yeah.
you're going to fit right in
Yeah,
for
I'm familiar
education.
with the schools.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about the opportunity to provide some education for prevention because, I mean, your testimony is just amazing. And you can tell the most powerful advocates
Yeah.
are the ones who have actually, lived it.
That's right.
But hopefully if you start in the schools,
Yes.
you won't get to the treatment phase.
That's right.
Yeah.
Education
Right.
being so important, and just realizing kind of from the police department's perspective. I mean, because you find one thing, you find another,
Yes.
and then you find another,
Yes.
and so just that education part. And of course, we do have Mr. Wheeler, superintendent of schools here, and so I know there may already be education, but this will be an even greater education.
It definitely will be, and the opportunity to partner with stuff like this is always fantastic. And it's not just education in the school. A big part of the grant that I really appreciated was how can we educate parents? How can we work on the legal side of things? Because the availability of these things has definitely increased. The perception, as you mentioned, has changed dramatically. When I was a principal, not that many years ago, it went from cigarettes, they just kind of phased out. And we had a lot of students that were then using some form of dip or chewing tobacco, etc. And then that kind of disappeared, and then here came the vapes. And they came in large numbers. And then initially, at least in our thought process, maybe we were wrong at that time, it was mainly nicotine in those things. And now there's all kinds of stuff in them, and you don't know what it is, and they're fruit flavored, and
Yeah,
like they are marketing these to
To
young
kids.
to
To-
kids
to the kids,
in the
yeah.
packaging, and some of that has to change. And I'm not saying that we can affect that change nationally and change those type of things, but I think we can push and educate, again, not just 12, 13-year-old students, but their families in the community about the harms that these things can lead to and cause. But like everybody said, it's easy to get caught up in stuff like this. Your friends are doing it. You try this, you try that. Next thing you know, you're going down a path you don't want to go on, and it's hard to come back. And as much as we can slow this down, which is why we're really focusing on middle school age students. Before they're out driving on their own, it's hard to get around to some places when you're 12 years old. We think that education at that age is really where we need to spend most of our focus to make that difference as they turn into teenagers, drivers, graduates, etc.
That's right, and plus that age is you're kind of still learning at that age, and when you turn 16, Mr. Wheeler, I don't know if you know about this, but
I have a 16-year-old
yes,
son. I
they,
fully well know what this is like.
at 16, you kind of know it all. I mean, no, I'm just saying, just saying. But 12, that was a parent joke, by the way, for any parents out there. So, but 12, I will say 12 to 14, that age is so impressionable, not just in this, but just in life in general. And it's so good to have that education that's out there. And we appreciate the schools being so open to helping shape, because it takes a village to raise children, and so we appreciate the schools like being a part of this as well. And I know there's really 12 parts to the grant, and before we wrap, I want to talk about that those 12 parts, because it takes the police department, it takes the school, it takes everybody working together. And it takes Tammy Dalton. So, Tammy, you're everywhere, by the way. So,
Stan, I just, to Talara's testimony, it's so strong.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more impactful than someone coming through it and willing to share that put away the shame and disgrace. Don't let that identify who you are. It's a time in your life, but use that to impact other people. So, Talara, kudos to you. And kudos to, our great leader over there, Alicia, for bringing together collaboration, because collaboration goes much farther than any one of us standing in this room together when it comes to, as you say, fighting a war, for our children and our community's well-being. The goal at Advantage is to meet people where they are without judgment and try to help them be the best that they can be. And I'm so thankful that this group of collaboration comes to the table to help me build the Mental Health and Intellectual Developmental Disability Awareness Walk, which we already have a date set for.
What's the date for that?
And already early, mark your calendars for Sunday, March 16th. It will again be at McWilliams Park. We're going to look to add a different race route. But of course, it's more than a walk or a run. It's focused on bringing about that education and that awareness, and it gives a platform for everybody in this room, all the organizations at this table, to share, because mental health and leads to addiction sometimes. People trying to mask those pains. It is a partnership, and it's not a good one.
Right.
So we want to, help that along and use this platform, make the most of it. But mark your calendars. Thankful for the school system, Mr. Wheeler, who supports this and bringing this and involving our youth at greater levels to get them invested in participating and being a part of, and then sharing this information. What a wonderful way this community came together the first year last year, and I'm looking so forward at how much greater we can build it this year. Bring it in March rather than May because of the end of school
I was going to say it's a little earlier.
Right,
earlier.
we listen.
Yeah.
I always ask input, and we listen. And March was when this team felt like it would suit this community best. So we're going to do that, and I'm very thankful for the collaboration.
So awesome, and thank you for all you do, Tammy.
You're most welcome.
And back to Alicia, who did. She's good at coordinating everybody. I mean, like she even got me to a few meetings, and so Alicia, as we kind of like wrap up, and I say wrap up, but this continues on. I mean, but talk a little bit about the grant and who all, like how it. I know in a short way the process of that. So
Okay.
it wasn't easy. So
No, I first learned about the Drug Free Communities Grant probably a year and a half ago, and kind of brought it to the group at one of our meetings and asked, do you think this is something our community is ready for? Because it is a large investment. It's a community-wide investment. It's not just me or a couple other people. The grant actually requires 12 different sectors to be involved in the process of addressing drug use and among youth. And so we have folks from the business and law enforcement, faith-based communities, recovery community, schools. I can't name them all off the top of my head, but
everybody came.
We all came together, and some are more invested early than others. But the goal is to grow and to get more partners as we move forward and get more people involved. I do want to say that the name of this effort is going to be Drug Free Elbert. So if you see Drug Free Elbert, that's what
That's what
it is. Yes.
We know Miss Walsky has put signs up everywhere.
And we're working on getting, advertising and all that stuff out to kind of build some support and recognition in the community. But we just found out that we became a grantee in October, so it's pretty new.
It's fresh.
We would put the application in April, so it took the government like 7 months to get back to us.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. It is a federal grant. It's run through the CDC, and so, but it's been the program itself has been in existence and working nationwide since 1997. So there's a long track record of success in drug-free communities. And so we're excited to have their support and their knowledge to help us along. There's a lot of education opportunities for me and Sophie and anybody else that wants to go. And so we're excited about that. And like I said, it's a community investment. It's not even just in the schools. We're going to be working in the community with parents and business owners and all this to bring about change.
Yes. And this is going to be awesome. And so impressed that you got. So I mean, you couldn't have handpicked somebody better. I just know
We're
because
excited. Yeah.
I've seen her work with 4-H before. She used to come to the store. You remember that? And she was always just going, and so that's going to be so awesome.
I do want to add that the school district, in addition to being involved in letting us work with them, they are also our fiscal agent, and so
Okay.
they have a very big investment in this, and we're very, very grateful for that support and investment. Yeah.
Thank you to Elbert County Schools.
Yes.
So y'all are awesome. Y'all are incredible. And I still have a student. And by the way, my student is 16, but he listens to his elders. So I'm not saying me. I'm just saying elders. I'm still young. Yeah. Well, look, I think it's so cool to see everybody in the room giving of their time and the mission and the purpose behind it. And drug-free Elbert, I actually thought when I first saw the electronic devices being used out there, oh, that won't last, because I thought it was too expensive. I thought it was too whatever. And Mr. Wheeler brought this up, but then they started putting the flavors and the enticing. And who does that entice the most? The young. It does.
It's intentional,
Yes,
Sam. It's
yes.
intentional.
And so you just go, no, they didn't do that. No, they didn't do that. And we want healthy youth, but also that gateway that can happen without even noticing. Like somebody can have one thing, and it's like what we talked about with the group of friends, and things happen. And the best way is to educate and try to stop this. And that was one thing. Whenever you called me, I said, yeah, I don't want to see this. I mean, because our youth, I know the idea, and some listeners may say that, okay, well, I know so-and-so, and it doesn't bother them, and it doesn't bother, and you can make that point if you want to, but I am here to say that you start on one thing, it leads to another, and before you know it, you didn't take care of a responsibility or a task. And you didn't even realize where you were at until it's too late. And then you wake up one day and you realize you lose something. And I've seen this happen. And so I can only say that man, I love to see the community work together. And with this, let's go drug-free Elbert. Let's do it. What? But thank y'all for coming. But I don't want to just wrap it up or anything. But I want to, if anybody had anything they wanted to share, because we have 40-something folks in the studio today. So I'm just kidding. I think it's 12. So
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. One of those sectors that is supposed to be involved is media, and Stan's like, I'm on board.
Let's do it.
So let's do
Yeah,
it. So
let's
we
do it.
do appreciate that support as well.
Well, thank you, Alicia. And I'll tell you what, I'm so happy to be a part of this, that if I could help Sophie with anything that you need, you just call, say, hey, Stan, can you get this word out? We even do a PSA, do a commercial, and make that happen. And anything that I can do for anybody in this room, you just tell me. And if I can't do it, I have John Hubbard. He'll do it. I'm just kidding.
Stan, I just want to say that the Elbert County School System is super excited to work with all of them and to have Sophie back in our schools and working with our students. She already has a great relationship with our kids, and so bringing that extra support and bringing in that knowledge of how it affects them is going to be huge, and I'm super excited.
That's awesome. Sophie, you're getting a lot of accolades today. I love it. I love it. I love it. And anything else that we anybody want to comment or say before we wrap up? I just want to say it's Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful for y'all. I mean,
We're thankful for you
yes.
too, Stan.
Thank you. Do you have a plate of food? That's no. Oh, that's my other weakness, is just food in general. Yeah, that's yes. Well, hey, thank y'all so much for coming today and for being a part of this, and I hope this is the first of many times that we can get together, and we'll do some PSAs throughout the year if that works, and I've even allotted some time to this, so we can do anything that we need to do. And I'm just telling you, you never know who's who is texting you. A guy named Zeb Worley. Do you know Zeb Worley?
I know Zeb
Yeah.
Worley.
I got to figure out what he's wanting. So
That's okay, Stan.
yeah.
Audrey called me while we were in here.
Are you serious? How's Audrey doing?
Forgot to tell her it was on the radio.
So her daughter Audrey worked here for a year, and every student that comes, we miss them so much, and we miss her. But she went on to way bigger and better things. I mean, UGA majorettes, and we need her to come by and sign the poster. She brought a poster by.
Maybe
Yeah,
this next
Yeah, we want her to sign it. So John was going to sign it, but John's not on it. So, I don't know if John's still here, but anyways, well, hey, thank y'all so much for coming by today, and thank you for taking time out of your schedules. Anything else before we
That's
wrap
all.
up?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank y'all. And folks, drug-free Elbert, if you see, you'll know that is part of this grant. It was $125,000. That is huge, and not everybody got selected. So for this community to get selected to get this grant was a big, big deal. And thank you to Alicia Poon and those that helped her with the grant for making this happen. So, and thank y'all again for coming by. All right, stay tuned. We've got some great country favorites on the way. The Judds, Colin Ray, and more coming up right after this.